Okay, to recap the past 4 days from the RNC, we're now joined by Joseph Williams. Joseph's a former senior editor at U.S. News and World Report. Joseph, always a pleasure to see you, my friend. A lot to talk to, a lot to get to, so let me get to it. We've talked about some of the biggest takeaways from the RNC, but I got to find out, what do you think we're going to hear from Donald Trump within the next hour, hour and a half? Is this going to be a kinder, gentler Trump, or is there even such an animal?
I wonder if there's such an animal. I mean, quite honestly, if he says he's rewritten the speech, I would have to believe him. But it's hard to reconcile what he might say, given the theme of unity that was supposed to be on display, when the party has not done, the convention has not done anything like that. I mean, they've tossed some red meat here and there. They've largely kept the really tough stuff under wraps. But I did not hear a message of national unity, other than the fact is, vote for the Republicans and we will unify. That's the only message of unity I heard. And I fully expect Trump to follow suit. I think he's going to deliver a fiery speech. I mean, remember the image of him with the fist in the air. So I think unity in this case is going to be in the eye of the beholder.
And unity can often mean, hey, just get on board to what we're talking about. So let's talk about the key points of the RNC's economic platform so far, what you believe could be strengths, what you believe are weaknesses.
Well, as usual, the Republicans are pro-business. Again, your earlier report about Peter Thiel and Mark Andreessen pretty much underscores that point, where they've jumped ship from the Democratic Party to the Republicans, indicating a pro-business expectation that they have from any future Trump administration. Again, low taxes on everyone. They're going to have some more tax cuts across the board. They're also going to talk about bringing reshoring businesses and trying to resurrect the manufacturing base. But all of that all of this stuff has been kind of tried before. And the latest version of you know, pardon the expression, but trickle-down economics really has not proven to work all that well. I mean, we saw a massive wealth transfer from the middle class to the upper class during the COVID lockdowns and before and after. It's gone unabated. We have inflation that's still high. It's lowering, but it's still pretty high. Prices are still pretty expensive at the grocery store. Your gas bill's larger than it used to be. So I think they've got a tough row ahead of them, no matter what they pledge, because inflation is an animal that doesn't really listen to policy from the White House. It does what it does, and we all have to kind of live with it.
Yeah, and to further your point, when they did have those massive tax cuts between 2016 and 2020, we saw the national debt go up higher than it has ever gone up in the past. So how is the Republican Party going to try and rationalize this moving forward, saying we have the idea to bring America back?
Well, I think they're going to say, no, wait, we just didn't do it hard enough. As far as the tax cuts are concerned, they're still pretty much wedded to the notion that the Laffer curve is going to be really in effect here. They're wedded to the notion that if the upper 10% or 1% do very well, and if businesses do very well, all that money is going to come back to the working class. It's going to put more coffers in the tax revenue base, but it simply does not work. But they have to do something in order to keep the Peter Thiels and Mark Andreessens and Elon Musks of the world happy, who helped get them elected. So I think you would try to see more of the same. The deficit would expand under Reagan, under a Republican leadership, as it has every time the Republicans held the White House. I don't expect things to be any different this time around.
Okay, let's talk about the campaign donations we're getting from Elon Musk, $45 million a month, plus all the other tech big names that are out there as well. What is this going to do for the Trump's PACs?
Well, it reminds me of a phrase that I heard back in the 80s. Well, it's hard to believe I've been around that long, but back in the 80s, from a Republican Congressman, Phil Gramm, who said that a politician's best friend is ready money. And certainly Trump's going to have a lot of it, especially if Elon Musk is going to open up his war chest. Keep in mind, he's not going to be the only mega donor. You have the Koch brothers who are out there, or the Koch family who's out there. You have a couple of other large mega donors that are probably going to be kicking in. He's going to be awash with cash, and this is all the result of Citizens United, where cash and businesses are people, and cash is an expression of speech. Right. So I think Biden and whoever, if Biden stays on the ticket, he's going to had a real cash advantage, especially since some donors have been withholding from his campaign because they don't want to see him on the ticket. So whoever is going to be running for the Democrats against Trump is going to have a lot of ground to make up as far as donations are concerned. And whoever's voting to Trump probably will expect to see some goodies come their way if he retakes the White House.
Yeah, and also think about the people who have already talked about this convention, already supporting the GOP. We've seen big labor speak to the Republican Party for the first time. Race has now become an issue. The latest poll shows something like 20% of the black population in the United States leaning toward Trump. Look, that's hard to rationalize for a lot of people who've been following politics for a long time.
Well, and that's one of the hamstrings that the strong hamstrings that Joe Biden is having to deal with. I mean, that's one of the things that Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff, and all the people on the left are showing President Biden. The fact that his polls numbers are cratering, the fact that the Republican Party is presenting a strong draw, mostly because American voters like the novel. They like something new. Yep. They like the shiny object. And Trump, in this case, is not the guy in the White House where you go to the grocery store and eggs are $5 a dozen. So it's easy to understand why black Americans are looking across the aisle and looking at Trump. And there also is some measure of resentment in that a lot of black voters feel like they've been taken advantage of by the Democratic Party, that their votes are really just counted and not even there's not any kind of reward for that loyalty. And the needle really hasn't moved all that much with Biden in the White House. Now, he's done some very good things for black Americans, but you don't see the sweeping change like you would with under an LBJ or a JFK. And that simply is not going to happen.